Hello, hello. Mr. Obi says hi. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hello. I'm also going to stream this on Instagram. If that'll... Actually, I barely ever stream on Instagram, so we'll see if that works. Oh, it's gone. Okay, welcome to our AMA. Coffee, cat, everybody's got theirs. Not bad. Feel free to say hi in the chat. Let me know you're here. I'm trying this on my big camera that I normally film things on, which is why it looks a little like odd and dramatic. I think I got to set the color up a little better. This program is brought to you by this 5-pound bag of powdered cow. No, it's not brought to you by them. I get no money from them, but I just thought this was cool, so I thought I'd share this with you guys. This is 5 pounds of powdered like beef protein extract. So if any of you guys are like me and you can't digest whey or vegan proteins, somebody just got the idea to take a cow and turn it into powder. So if you can digest beef, you can digest this beef protein isolate. So I mean, if you guys are lazy cookers like me, that is a real easy way to just throw some beef protein in your coffee. And we got a meal. So this bag is 75 30-gram servings. It was like $70 on Amazon. So if you guys are into that kind of thing, it's, what is it? TrueNutrition.com is who makes that. I get no money. I'm just saying because it's. I thought it was kind of cool. Hello, Beth. Hello, Anata from Australia. Hello, Teresa. Hello, Phyllis. Hello, Jennifer from California. Castaic. Never heard that one. I always learn every day in California. I learn a new city in California. California is like a giant country. There's like 1,000 cities here. Been here like 6 years. I still learn a new city every day. Those of you just joining, this is my friend Obi-Wan Kenobi. I feel like I should have named him Anakin. I realized after I got him. He's more of an Anakin Skywalker than an Obi-Wan. He's got a temper. Christy from Colorado, hello. So this is an AMA. That stands for Ask Me Anything. It can be about my teacher training coming up. If you got questions, it's kind of an investment. So maybe you got some questions you want to ask me about that. But anything you want to ask about anything at all? Qigong, nutrition, health, pain, anything, me, anything you feel like talking about, feel free to just throw it in the chat. Hello, Magnus from Mexico. Hola. You have anybody on Instagram? Oh, we got lots of people on Instagram. I was like, if I stream on Instagram, will anybody watch? Okay, well, I guess I'll just tell you a little bit about it. So the teacher training coming up, that's going to start February 13th. That's the day after Chinese New Year. We're going from, you guys know this, the year of the rat, the metal rat, to the year of the metal ox. So the metal rat's kind of weird, right? Because we just came out of a plague. Rats are the plague carrier. And I mean, bats are kind of just like flying rats, right? And the metal element is the element of the lungs, right? So we had a plague for the lungs during the metal rat year. So whatever the opposite of auspicious, I think that's what that was. Anybody ever heard of the I Ching? The I Ching? It's like a book of, it's called the Book of Changes. It's like a Chinese like fortune telling book, basically. And I used to consult it a lot when I was apprenticing with my teacher because he had one in the back. And hello from Holland. Jurke. I'd get a lot of readings, and the reading would say, like, clouds in the sky, rivers run blue, how auspicious. And I had never heard the word auspicious before, so I just thought it meant suspicious. So every reading, I was like, oh no, something bad's going to happen. This cat's trying to get away, huh? Maybe he wants to go in my head. Like, oh no, something bad is going to happen. Something auspicious. But it turned out auspicious was the opposite of suspicious. So I was like misreading all my readings for like a year. See, and if he was a real Obi-Wan, he would just sit here politely. Anyway, so teacher training starts the day after Chinese New Year, so that'll be the first day of the year of the metal ox. So in the Chinese astrology, there's the animals. So there's 12 animals that it goes through. Every year is a different animal, and then there's also the elements. So there's 5 elements, and they each go twice. So there's like a yin year and a yang year, right? And so you do the metal, yin metal, yang metal, yin water, yang water, yin wood, yang wood. And so that changes every year too. And it cycles. So the animals it's like never the same. It's like every 12 years is a metal ox. And then the next cycle of 12 years, it'll be like a fire ox. And then and so they combine to change that way. So the ox basically means hard work mostly. So, you gotta say that. So it'll be a year that we want to work really hard, and hard work will pay off, but you're going to need to do a lot of hard work, but it'll pay off if you do it. It's kind of the message of the ox. Beth Kara says, is there a final written test? Yeah, there will be a written test. So the teacher training, there's kind of 2 options. I set it up so it's 14 weeks. So every Saturday for 14 weeks, it's like noon to 3 Pacific time. It's going to be live. You can rewatch it if you can't make some classes. There will be replays. But yeah, so the first 10 weeks, the first 10 Saturdays, it's going to be like just about Qigong, alignment, Taoism, like all the things you'd want to know whether or not you were, this guy wants to go, whether or not you're trying to teach Qigong or make a business out of it or anything. And then the last 4 weeks will be all dedicated to the people who really want to teach it. So it'll be more about like the business and the teaching and the communicating and the sequencing of a class and all those things that you'd want to know to be able to teach it and also like make a business out of it in like the world we live in. So I'll share everything I've kind of learned over the last 5 or 6 years about that. And yeah, so if you choose to go the full 14 weeks, to do those last 4 weeks, and you want to get certified, then yes, there's a written test at the end. If you just want to do the first 10 weeks, wow, this cat is like licking the beef powder. If you just want to do the first 10 weeks, you don't have to do any tests or anything like that. You just participate and enjoy yourself and do your own Qigong practice. But if you want to get certified, you're going to write a test. And there's a practical test. So ideally, you're going to make it to one of those last 4 classes or part of the class. So the first 10 weeks, I'll be teaching both the theory part and about half the class will be practice. So we'll actually just be going through lots and lots of Qigong and meditation and just getting like a really deep practice going. And then you're kind of expected to go home and kind of keep practicing on your own for the rest of the week. And then we add a little something the next week. And we kind of try to structure it in a way that you can actually memorize things. But those last 4 weeks, I won't be teaching the practical parts. It'll be you guys. So in order to get certified, you will be each just very gradually. It'll start with just, like everybody teaches just a little bit, like one movement, and we all kind of put it together to make a class. But eventually the practical exam will be teaching, like putting together your own like full class and teaching it to the rest of us on the Zoom live group thing that we'll be doing. And so that'll be the practical. And if for some reason you can't make it to the like noon to 3 where we're doing that stuff, maybe you live on the other side of the world or something, then you can just do it with me privately and just kind of teach me a class, and that'll be the practical. And there'll be you can redo any of those if like for some reason I'm like, whoa, that was like so terrible, you got to do it again or something. But ideally, I prepare you like really well, and that's probably not going to happen for most people. Phyllis has signed up and excited to get started. Awesome. Teresa says, have you implemented any other methods of Chinese medicine into your life apart from Qigong? Yeah, I've done a lot of the herbal stuff. I used to have like really bad skin problems. You can actually still see the scars here. They're actually like my whole back is covered in those scars. And Chinese herbal medicine seemed to be the thing that really got rid of it. So that was a big deal. It also like really helped clear my brain. I had tons of brain fog and stuff. So the herbal medicine was a big help. I never really like got into like, it's very complicated to like learn to like be a Chinese herbalist. So I never really tried to like focus on that, but I like would go to a Chinese medicine doctor and they'd help me out with that kind of thing. Also, Chinese diet is pretty useful. I think it's mostly useful considering like how confusing modern diet stuff is. There's so much like conflicting information, and there's always like new research coming out like, oh, this one thing we said was bad, now it turns out to be good. You know, like eat saturated fat, don't eat saturated fat, cholesterol is bad, cholesterol is good, sugar is bad, sugar is good. It's very confusing, and if you don't have time to like be like a researcher and like figure all that out, Chinese medicine nutrition is like a really just simple kind of diet. That there's like a kind of baseline diet that would be like generally healthy for most people, and then you can go to like an acupuncturist and they can kind of tune it up for you as an individual or for your like any medical conditions you have. So the diet stuff's interesting. I've definitely spent a lot of time researching that. Acupuncture I've received. I've noticed it works really well for some things. Other things I didn't really notice anything. There's also Qi emission therapy. So some people train their Qigong so that they're actually able to like send their Qi out of their hands. And I've noticed the people who've actually really been able to do that was like incredibly powerful. My teacher, Lee, who I studied with, Lee Holden, he doesn't really talk about it, I think, because it like takes a lot of energy out of you to use it. So sometimes he'll just have an acupuncture patient and he'll just kind of sneakily send some Qi into them, but he doesn't like advertise it as something he's trying to like get people to come get from him. But I think he's too humble, because the treatments I've gotten from him where he's done that are just like, it's so different than a lot of people who do like hands-on healing and Reiki and things like that, where it's like, I don't know, maybe there's like a spiritual intention where there's like on the subtle layers of your being, it's like influencing things. And I'm sure there's something to a lot of that, but the way it works in Qigong is like you're just sending like physical energy to the person. So when Lee does it, it's like he can have his hand like at a certain point in your back. Like you would do this treatment, you'd sit in a chair, and his hand would be behind you, and you'd kind of scan up and down your spine, and you'd find a spot your Qi was blocked, and you just send the Qi there. And you could like have your eyes closed, he's behind you, you can't see anything. And you would just know where he was doing it, because you could just feel it like buzzing, like in this like really blissful way at those spots. So he'd have another one where he put his fingers on your kidney 1 point, which is this point right below the ball of your foot. I'd be laying face down on the table. He'd put in the needles, and then he'd go up to my feet and put his fingers, one finger on each kidney 1 point, bubbling springs. And he would just send the energy in there, and just for like 5 seconds, and then he'd leave. And the whole time, like he left me there for like 45 minutes laying with the acupuncture needles in. And it was as though he had stuck needles in the bottom of my feet, because that kidney 1 point, the whole time that he had like left the room, you could still feel that point, feeling as though his fingers were like pressing into it, even though he just like very lightly touched it. So he had a whole lot of like really interesting things like that he did. And then eventually he brought in another Qigong master from China who he'd been kind of learning with how to do this art they call Mo Pai, which is kind of somewhat famous. And if you're in the Qigong world long enough, you'll come across this. John Chang, you can actually find the video of him on YouTube where he like lights things on fire with his Qi. He'll like take newspaper and light it on fire. He'll electrocute people, and he'll put acupuncture needles in people and electrocute the needles, and they'll like, and on video, like all that is super easy to fake. So I don't blame you if you look at that and you're like, maybe it's true, maybe not. But we had one of the guys who did that art come here and to California, and kind of secretly, I think in China, he's like hiding from the government because they're kind of weird about Qigong people. But we kind of brought him over secretly. In China, he pretends to be a dentist, apparently. So I won't give you any names or anything, but I don't even know his name, actually. I think he gave us a fake name. But he would come in and he would just like zap patients and like clear their energy channels. And for the low price of like $1,200, I got to have mine cleared. And basically he would just hold your hand and just send this like literal electric current up your body. We actually got a voltometer and put it on people's skin, and it was registering volts. So it was like his body actually produced just literal electricity, not any like esoteric Qi thing. It was like literal electricity, and very interesting. You could feel where it would hit, like it would kind of get blocked, and you kind of push through that blockage and melt it away. and until eventually it could like ground down and at your feet. But apparently I didn't pay him enough money to get it all the way down my feet. So I got 5 treatments where it kind of, the blockage was like moving. And then he's like, oh, you didn't pay me enough. I'm done. So he didn't finish my treatments. But he did prescribe me some Qigong, and I went home, and during the 6 months that I didn't see him because he went back to China, I practiced that Qigong set really well, which actually a lot of those moves are in my 8 brocades video. That was the Qigong he taught me. The special 8 brocades that works a lot with the Dantian. Pretty much all the movements come back to the Dantian, or a lot of them do. And when he came back 6 months later, he like felt my chi, and he's like, "Oh, you cleared it yourself. There you go. You didn't have to pay me another 2 or 3 grand or whatever." But it was very interesting because some people he was helping didn't seem to get a lot of benefit, and then some people just were like absolute miracles. Like there was one guy who had ALS, which is like a nerve degeneration problem. So he was slowly getting paralyzed over like the course of a year. And I'd known him before because he was coming into my teacher Lee's acupuncture clinic. And so I like, he wasn't like a plant or something. Like I knew him for a long time. I knew he had ALS. I knew he was getting paralyzed. And we brought this teacher in. The guy electrocuted him every day for 30 days. And the guy basically got all the movement back in the left side of his body. And he pretty much saved his life. So we had a couple people like that. Another guy with a paralyzed leg, stuff like that. It seemed to work really well for nerve stuff, which would make sense for electricity. Anyways, that's some of the weird stuff I've done besides like normal Qigong. Hello from Bellingham, Washington. Matt Perry. Oh, hello, Matt. Thanks for joining. Santosha says, will the level 1 certificate qualify me to teach classes and allow me to get insurance as a Qigong teacher? Insurance in Qigong is really weird. I actually am a certified yoga teacher. So that was what I did before Qigong. And I did it through a Yoga Alliance certified program. And so that's how I get my insurance. And then you just kind of add at the bottom, like also Qigong, right? And they kind of just let you get away with it. I don't know that there's any like official insurance process for Qigong. That's actually a really good question that I should look into, so I can bring you better information about that. It is kind of weird. I know there's some organizations that like register or that insure massage teachers and stuff, or massage therapists, and they'll kind of let you do Qigong stuff. But basically there's no like official like national, like federal or state level like Qigong certification board or anything. So I don't know. I think it's really up to the companies. So I'll look into that for you. I'll write that down. Yeah, the good thing about Qigong is you're like way less likely to injure anybody than most yoga and fitness classes and stuff, but you do want to cover your bases. So I will look into that for you. Is there any reading material, or will it all be via Zoom? There's basically just like a recommended reading list. So just a few books that you could read that kind of go with the materials, but pretty much all of it will be over Zoom. I'll probably have some like PowerPoint slides and stuff that we go through that you can like screenshot and things like that. If you want to keep like visual notes or something like that. But generally, we'll be going through it in a way that you're kind of probably just like taking notes through the whole thing. Teresa says, thanks. I'm currently attending a course of acupuncture at our medical school, and I wish our teacher was as fun as you. I'm grateful I discovered Qigong, and I'll be attending your course. That's awesome. Yeah. So sometimes in the traditional Chinese way of teaching, it's like explicitly not fun at some points. It's very, very, very stern and very opposite my personality. Just likes to make everything a little more fun. Consider attending. Hello from Yorkshire, England. Yes, thank you, Santosha. It's always fun seeing where you guys are calling from. Annetta Carrier, do we get to keep recordings of the exercise forever? I decided to put it at a year just because it's so much content that if anybody like decided to leak it, it'd just be like a lot of content to be put out there. So I decided to make it just like a little bit more exclusive just by putting like a year limit on it. But you do get unlimited access to a library of like really professionally filmed recordings, kind of like my YouTube videos, where I basically like pre-recorded all the exercises that we'll be teaching in the program, and even some of the theory as like lectures, like some kind of smaller bite-sized lectures, not like the 3-hour live classes we're going to be doing. So there is a way so that like if you like forget any of the moves or something, you'll always be able to go back to this library and just kind of make sure you've got them. So that should be useful. A worldwide class, yes. Yes, what's the triangle on your arm? Do I have a triangle on my arm? I don't know what you're talking about. Do I have a triangle? I don't know. Is it this thing? Maybe you're looking at this pillow back here. Which time will you be using? Yes, California time. So that'll be Pacific Standard Time. So noon here is 3 p.m. on the East Coast. And I don't know what time in England, but maybe a little, probably in the evening in Europe. And yeah, if you are in Europe, it will all be recorded and you'll have access to the library. You can watch it as many times as you want within that year time frame. So if you can't make them live, you can do that and just like submit me questions, and I can read off the questions at the start of each class and sort of answer your questions, so that you can get the answer in the recording and everybody can hear the answer as well. And then also, it really is good to be able to practice live with the teacher. So the other thing I've added to the course is you do 2 private sessions with me. And that's, if you're just going through the course just to learn Qigong for fun, the private sessions can be done just like for your own benefit. Like if you want to improve your practice or pick my brain about anything, you're totally welcome to do whatever you want with them. And if you're going through, if you really want to get the certification, then you should use those private sessions. They're basically to just have me get my eyes on you. So we'll both have our cameras on. I try to get it so, help you set up your camera so you can see, I can see your whole body, head to toe. And we just go through the exercises that we're learning and make sure that like you're actually doing them right. Because it's actually really hard to do exercises right without like a teacher kind of explicitly looking at you and helping you do it. Or at least like a mirror. Just because proprioception is so much less trustworthy than we tend to think it is. So where we think our body's in space, what we think we saw the teacher do, and then what we thought we did with our body that looked like that, it often is like either really, really far off or there's some little detail we miss. So it's really important to have a teacher get their eyes on you. So I added 2 like 1-hour private sessions with me to make sure that we dial it in so you're representing Qigong in a really effective and way. How do we get hold? 8 p.m. in England. That's not too bad. 8 to 11. Not crazy if you're in England. Australia might not work out. How do we get hold of the material? Do you email us so we can download? It'll be just like an e-course. So I use an e-course platform called Thinkific that I used for my Stoic Sunrise e-course. So you basically just get a login, and then there's just like a library of videos there that you can just stream whenever you want, and just choose whichever ones you want. And the live streams will just be a Zoom link that'll just email out every week, and you just click the link and it'll take you to the live part. Hello from Buffalo, New York. Hello. That's really close to where I grew up, Toronto. We used to, when we go down to the States, you go through Buffalo, pretty sure. And that's why they have so many Tim Hortons in Buffalo. Tim Hortons is terrible. I don't know why Canadians like it so much. Drinking my beef coffee. Those of you new here, how fun is this? It's a 5-pound bag of powdered beef protein. I don't really digest whey, so I just thought that was fun to share with you. Okay. Makiko says, can this certification be used in Japan, and can I get insurance? This certification, okay, I should be clear about what this is and what it is not. This is a Nick Lawfrey certification, and that literally just means Nick Lawfrey put his stamp of approval on it, and it really doesn't mean anything else. So there's no national board, there's no worldwide organization, there's no like overarching organization putting their stamp on this. It is literally just Nick Lawfrey putting his stamp on it. So if you can find an insurance company that accepts that you did a course and wants to give you insurance, then that's great. But I wrote this down before. I should really investigate how insurance works for that, at least in the United States. I don't know how it works in Japan. All I know is that for myself, I got insurance through yoga. I did a yoga teaching certification, which is just being around a lot longer, and there's like more trusted institutions around it. And so that's how I was able to get my insurance. And I just kind of write Qigong at the bottom. So if there's anything else you do that you get insured for, you can probably get insured for Qigong under it. So if you're an acupuncturist, massage therapist, a physical therapist, a yoga teacher, a fitness instructor, anything else that you get insurance for, you could probably just put Qigong under it and kind of get it double covered. But I'm not totally sure what to do if Qigong's the only thing you're certified to do. So I'll try to look that up for you. But it would be cool if I could get some probably be able to grandfather you in at some point, because I plan to do this training like once or twice a year and add other modules and stuff. So this isn't like a one-time thing. So my plan is eventually to get there's an association. It's not like official or like related to the government at all. They like to call themselves the National Qigong Association. So that's one that I could kind of contact and get to sort of, give us their stamp of approval. I'm not really sure if there's any insurance that listens to them, but eventually, hopefully anybody who's done the course could just get grandfathered into any sort of more like official stuff. But that's also why I'm making this one like really inexpensive. It's like $1,000 and there's a 20% discount and like a 12-month payment plan. This is like really cheap as far as teacher trainings for Qigong and yoga and things like that go. They're usually more like $3,000 in that ballpark. So since this is like the first serious one I'm running, I thought I'd make it a little more affordable. And so that's the main benefit. It's affordable. It's online. I think it's going to be really good, but we don't have any like official thing going on. Certs. We'll be doing a level 2. Yes, I do plan on level 2s. I'm not sure if it's going to be like linear, like level 1, 2, 3, 4, like you have to do them all in a row. I'm thinking it might be more like level 1 is like a baseline and everything else is like another branch that could come off of that. So my plan is to make it like kind of just more modular. Like you'll have one on that's more like specifically into like anatomy and alignment. Another one that's specifically into like the creative aspects of teaching. Another one that's specifically into like the internal alchemy of Neigong and more kind of the advanced Qigong practices like that. So that's kind of probably something along that seems like what I'll do. Hi Nick, big hello from Montreal, from Marcus. Lots of snow here. I have the same t-shirt, but in green. Oh, this is green. Is this not showing up green? I got it on Etsy. Maybe it looks kind of gray on the weird camera. I love your teaching so much. What got you started into doing Qigong? Many thanks. What got me started into Qigong? Well, the short story is I was already doing yoga. I was like certified in yoga, and I just kind of wound up overdoing it. I think I was a vegan at the time, and I don't think my body was like assimilating the protein and calcium and stuff from that diet very well. And I think my joints and everything got kind of brittle. So I was getting a lot of like tendinitis and overstretched ligaments and things like that. And realized I needed to take a break from yoga, which was like really hard because it was like what I was trying to make my living at, and it was like my spiritual practice and everything like all in one. So I was really bummed out, but fortunately at like the exact same time, by total coincidence, a friend of mine who was an acupuncturist and a martial arts teacher sent me a YouTube video actually of my teacher, Lee. He's got this like 7-minute Qigong YouTube video called 7 Minutes of Magic. And I tried it out and I was just like, whoa, this is like yoga, except like the stretching is like less intense and less like the primary focus. And the focus is more on just like the breath and the energy and the mental qualities and the things that I really wanted yoga to do for me anyways. So I kind of went headlong into it and fell in love with it because I'm, kind of like a nature guy. So Qigong having its whole root in Taoism and nature and animals just kind of really jived with me in a spiritual way. So got really into it. The long story is that when I was 17, I got psychosis. I had a couple of head injuries and did like a lot of drugs and had a few traumatic events in my life. And that was all kind of combined along with like not really eating, like spending my lunch money on drugs instead of food. And when you're like a growing teenager. So I got paranoid psychosis, hallucinations, the whole shebang. Also had some like actual paranormal experiences. So it was very weird because I was having like real supernatural experiences and then also paranoia about supernatural experiences. And when you go to a psychiatrist, they're just like, oh no, all of it's paranoia. But it's like I had like actual evidence and like eyewitnesses for like the actual supernatural stuff. And I was like, can you just help me figure out which one's supernatural and which one's paranoia? And they're like, no, all paranoia. Take these drugs. And so I had to take the pills. But I was very happy to take them because I didn't want to be in that mind state. I really like Joseph Campbell, who's a famous mythologist, who's dead now, but he had a famous quote that the schizophrenic or the psychotic drowns in the same water that the shaman or the mystic swims. And looking back, I really feel like that's what it was. It was like my mind was like open to like a mystical consciousness, like where you became very, very sensitive. But that sensitivity made me like very, very paranoid. So without like a spiritual anchor or teacher or practice or anything there, it just kind of goes in, you just fall into you drown in those waters of mysticism. I feel like that's what was happening with me. But that's why I got into yoga and meditation and eventually Qigong. Boop, boop, boop. How do we communicate with you? Via email? Yeah, my email is an easy way to get in touch with me. It's just nick@nicklawfree.com. So it's my name. nick@nicklawfree.com. Or just go to my website, nicklawfree.com. Scroll to the bottom. There's a little contact form that works too. I also answer all my comments here on YouTube, so you're welcome to pick my brain in the comments section here, or on Instagram for the 2 of you that are watching. I got 2 on Instagram, 20 on YouTube. I think we know which my app is. Those of you on YouTube, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, where you can find the part of me that has much more of a sense of humor. I just mostly use it to post funny memes, but also some fun Qigong stuff and nutrition tips and things like that once in a while too. And YouTubers, don't forget, or Instagrammers, don't forget to follow me on YouTube. That's like where all my best stuff is. Jennifer Cox, I have signed up and so excited. I have been wanting to do this for a few years. It's a certification through a specific organization or through your own company. So I'll reiterate, the Nick Lawfree certification is only certified by Nick Lawfree, okay? Nobody else has put their stamp of approval on it, except maybe my teacher, like, in a more just like personal way, just like, go get it, Nick, you're ready, go do it. But other than that, there's no overarching organization. There is one in America called the National Qigong Association, but they don't really have like any authority over with like the government or anything like that. So there's not really like any serious Qigong certification that you really can even get. But I do plan on eventually contact the NQA and submitting all that stuff. I was just kind of trying to get this thing going and didn't really have time to do that. I just wanted to finally start it. And I really wanted to start it on the first day of Chinese New Year. And while there's still somewhat of a pandemic going on and we're all kind of stuck inside, I thought it'd just be a really good time to, if anybody wanted to up their skills, so when the pandemic ends and everything opens back up, that you can go out and have a new skill and do something new and help people. And I just figured this was a really good time to do that. But I do plan on eventually getting this all grandfathered in, however I can, and whatever organizations will accept it, applying to them and seeing what we can do. The thing with Qigong is it's like an art and a science. So it's not like, physical therapy or something where like there's like a way to do it and that's the way. And you can create like big boards that test people like, oh, are you doing physical therapy right or wrong? Because Qigong is like, it's like spiritual and physical and emotional and mystical, and it's all that kind of together. And even if you go find the most traditional teacher ever who's got this like direct lineage back to some mystic 1,000 years ago in China, their way of doing it is going to be different than some other hyper traditional school that has some direct lineage 1,000 years back. So there's a lot of ways to do Qigong, and that's a lot of what I'm going to try to communicate in this course. There's some things that are science, like how to align your body that's not going to screw up your joints and things like that, right? How to breathe in a way that's going to regulate your nervous system. Some of those things are a science, and a lot of it is an art. A lot of it is the intention, the way you're thinking about things, the way you're putting them together. So there's a big major art to Qigong, and that's kind of what makes it hard to regulate, which there's actually a bit of a conflict within the NQA, the National Qigong Association, which national means like here in the States. I love how we call things national when we really mean American. The American Qigong Association. There's like a conflict within them where apparently I got contacted by someone within it who was trying to get me to join and like join their board and get on their side or something, which I would be down to do. I just don't have time for that because I was on their side. But basically there's a conflict where some of them want to get state governments involved to basically like the government regulate Qigong and say like who is allowed and who isn't allowed to teach Qigong based on like, you know, what your governor like thinks is like the best Qigong or something. And the other half is like, whoa, like who trusts the government to know what, like, we don't even know what the best Qigong is or the right Qigong is. Like it's such an art as well as a science. And there's like so much ways it's being befuddled by the Chinese communist government suppressing it and it coming to the States and getting kind of changed in some ways. And so it seems like such a mess to try to get the government involved, but there's some people that are trying to do that. And I think it's a terrible idea, honestly. Let's see. Delia says, hi, Nick. I'd just like to know what we need to do to gain certification. Are there assignments involved in exams at the end? Yeah, I mentioned this at the beginning. There'll be a written exam and a practical exam where you teach either me or if you are able to make the live component of the classes, we're actually going to teach each other. So this is what we did when I took my yoga teacher training certificate is we all kind of taught like a 45-minute practical exam to each other. It took a long time because there's 25 of us. So doing that over like 3 days was really tough. But that'll be what we do in the last 4 days of class is we'll be teaching each other more than just me teaching you and going over more of like the aspects of teaching and business and things like that. So there'll be that. And then there's 2 private sessions with me, which aren't so much like a testing component as just me trying to help you get my eyes on you specifically and help you do all the movements and everything correctly. Marcus says, thanks so much for sharing your experience towards starting Qigong. So wonderful to see you in a more beautiful place, harmonious, healthy place and space. Peace to you. Thanks, Marcus. Yeah, if I went, I wish I could go back and tell my like 17-year-old self like how awesome my life was going to get. Like I was in like some like cold little suburb in Canada and just like in hell basically all the time in my mind and complete like obese and covered in acne and eczema and just everything was just seemed so terrible. And if I could go back and tell myself like, yeah, dude, you get to move to California and like just travel around and make really cool videos and teach this thing you really love. Like, I don't know if I would have believed myself, but it's pretty cool how things worked out. Sometimes the best things come out of the compost, right? You need the compost to make the garden. Inga says, I am curious if you have some morning routine advice. I am doing yoga and now just starting Qigong to do both. Which one first? That's a great question. That's another thing I hope to go over in my course is if a lot of people like to, you know, maybe they teach like some fitness activity or they're a physical therapist or a yoga teacher and they want to know like, is there some way to combine these things? And there actually is a really simple way. And that would mainly be, if you've noticed my Qigong programs, when you do my YouTube videos or my classes, you'll notice they kind of go in an order. So it starts with stuff that heats the body up and stretches and opens the body, right? So we do either like joint opening stuff or muscle opening and tendon stretching stuff and things that challenge the body and build heat with like deep horse stance and things like that. So that's usually the first half of a Qigong, or just at least just the beginning. And so if you think about yoga, like that's kind of what it does. So you could basically just make yoga like the first half to heat up and open the body. What in Qigong we call Dao Yin, meaning to guide and direct the vital principle. It's kind of the long mouthful of saying it. To guide and direct the vital principle, Dao Yin. And that basically means anything that's opening the body. And then what we think of more as like Qigong proper, the aspects were more like kind of flowing, holding postures, moving slowly like Tai Chi, right? And all of those were basically, instead of trying to push beyond our current range of motion and stretch and open the body and the joints, we're trying to stay within or even just right at the edge of our range of motion. So that means, like, let's say if we do a movement like this, the Buddha holds up the earth, right? If we're doing it in Daoyin, we would press up and really stretch hard. And if we were doing it in Qigong, we would go just until we can't go up anymore in a relaxed way, right? So we wouldn't lock anything. We just go up until you just kind of feel like this gentle expansion across all the fascia without a stretch, not pushing into it. So gentle opening, and then you would relax. That'd be the same for all the motions, right? You feel like the fascia is expanded, but not stretching. You're not going as far as you can, right? You're just going in an expanded way. And so that would be the main difference between Qigong and yoga or Daoyin. It's whether you're opening the body or flowing within the body's current parameters, right? So yeah, just do yoga first, Qigong second, and maybe meditation last. That's how I like to do it. Santosha says, it was really great to hear how you got started. I'm interested in the lineage. When did you train with Lee Holden, and who did he learn from? It's a great question. Lee, I trained with between 2014 and 2017. So it was like a 3-year apprenticeship, basically. I didn't mean for it to be. Actually, I came from Toronto to California to do like his basic 2-week teacher training course. So it's just you hang out here in Santa Cruz for 2 weeks and train with him every day. It's really fun because we go to the beach in the redwoods. Can't wait till the pandemic's over and maybe I can run something like that again. But I wound up doing his 2-week course and then realizing, like, man, I should really just stay here. It's such like a healing place. I still had a lot of healing to do in myself and wanted to learn more Qigong. So I went home and I got all my bags. I just packed a few bags from my stuff in Canada and I flew back down here with basically no plan. And as soon as I got here, I went and I was like, oh, I'll go take Lee's class. And I go take his class. And basically, I was talking to his assistant, and his assistant's like, oh, yeah, I'm moving to New York in a couple weeks. And I'm like, oh, does Lee need a new assistant? She's like, yeah, and we have 2 weeks to train you. I was like, sweet. So I became his assistant and basically like made a deal with him that I was like, how about instead of you paying me like a full salary, just give me enough money to like eat and I'll just sleep in a sleeping bag in the back of your like Qigong studio and you just like teach me Qigong, right? And so I got to just basically spent like 3 years just kind of, I didn't sleep in the Qi Center for the full 3 years. Eventually I helped him like make his business make more money and got to get enough money to go get my own place. But it was really cool because I got to take all his workshops like 50 times and do a lot of private training with him and work with his acupuncture patients with him. He taught me a lot of body work stuff and medical Qigong stuff to do with his acupuncture patients. And it was a really cool experience and basically like set me up super well because at the end of those 3 years, I finally was like, okay, I feel like I'm like ready to go off on my own and basically went in and got one gig teaching Qigong somewhere. And that just took off so fast that within a month I had like 10 gigs teaching places and just kind of became my full-time job like right away. So I found a replacement for me as Lee's assistant and got out of there. But anyway, so Lee's lineage, it basically goes back to Mantak Chia, if anybody knows him. He's kind of famous in the Qigong world. For better or worse, a lot of the traditionalists tend to not like him because he basically like teaches a lot of stuff that generally is like behind the paywall, you know, the quote unquote paywall. In China, you pay with like loyalty, right? So you show up for a teacher and you practice with them for a long time. And gradually, like they teach you deeper and deeper layers of the practice. And Mantak Chia's thing was like his teacher basically on his deathbed told him to go and teach to the West, right? And when he came to America, he quickly realized like it's a very different culture. People do not want to be like slow dripped teachings the way it's traditionally done in China. And so he changed things up and he would just run these workshops teaching like the microcosmic orbit or things like that, that kind of more like alchemical stuff and stuff that generally a teacher would kind of hold back from a student for a long time. people who agree with that would say, oh, it's for safety reasons. People who disagree might argue a lot of that is like financial reasons. The teacher's kind of trying to string out the students' tuition, and it's really hard to say. It probably depends on the situation. But Mantak made Qigong, basically was the first person to make Qigong like a big thing in the West, in the United States at first. And then I think he just started traveling all over. And Lee, actually, it was very similar to me. He actually became like his assistant for writing. So Lee met him when he was in college studying psychology at Berkeley, UC Berkeley. And decided during the summers to just fly to Thailand to Mantak's retreat center and become his ghostwriter for the summer. So Mantak would basically teach him a Qigong form or a Tai Chi form. And Lee would basically turn it into an instruction manual as he was learning it. And then they would print those instruction manuals, and that would become part of Mantak's library of books for sale. So he got to do that over a few years, I think a long time actually. And he would keep going to Asia and learning with Mantak. And while he was going there, he would often stop in Japan or Indonesia or Taiwan and learn with another teacher a little bit. And then, but Mantak was basically his root teacher, but he, just like me, I do the same thing. Lee was my root teacher. And then eventually you find other teachers and you kind of learn what they have to say, and it kind of digests into the underlying foundational knowledge that you have. So what's going to be in my course won't entirely be from Lee. A lot of it will, probably 50% is Lee's stuff, and then the rest is stuff I've kind of pieced together from various other places I've trained. What was the paranormal experience you had? Okay. Well, because you guys are Qigong people, I know you believe in weird stuff, so maybe I'll tell you guys. Basically, I was 16. I guess I just turned 17. And I've been doing a lot of psychedelics, and I totally think psychedelics are awesome. So this is not to bash them, but it is also a warning a little bit. Most of my experiences on psychedelics have just been very healing. Often I had I'd experience the non-self that the Buddhists and all the mystics talk about, or just have some healing experience where I figured out something about my relationship with my parents or my friend. Often really beautiful things would happen. And then on this one trip, it was just something really weird happened that the mystics say avoid looking for paranormal abilities, psychic abilities, because they're just a distraction from the path. And so this is probably my least spiritual trip. It was just very weird. On this trip, I was just with two friends, and we just kind of accidentally figured out how to use telepathy. And it was just very odd. It was just your mind not able to filter things the way you can filter things when you talk to people. And so it was just everything just kind of comes out at once. And it was very odd for me, especially I was a very insecure teenager. And being that vulnerable was very weird for me. And they weren't exactly the nicest friends. So it was a bit shocking experience for me, but also very, very interesting. I think when most people think of telepathy, they think of something very subtle. It's somebody can intuit a number somebody's thinking of or something like that. But at least when it's done with LSD, it was just a fire hose of information going from one mind to the other. So you notice the way you think. When you think in words, you think in sounds, you think in images, you think in emotions. All those things are kind of layering together. It's like a movie playing in your head. It's like a story with a lot of different elements. And telepathy basically just seemed to be the same thing, just projected to someone else. It was everything went with it. It wasn't a word went or something. It was images and stories and sounds and music and emotions and layers were just all just flooding from one brain to another all at the same time. And we basically spent 8 hours doing that. So the entire LSD experience was just us sitting there around a table, just beaming our thoughts at each other, not saying anything with our mouths. And the next day was we were just kind of wow, did that really happen? And we all confirmed that was exactly what happened. So that was the initial experience. And then another time on LSD, I was able to replicate it. But in between that, I don't really think I was like having telepathic experiences, but I got like really paranoid about it just because my first experience was kind of unpleasant. And so that was kind of where that all went. Dory King says, hi, Nick. Hello. Hi, Natasha. Laura, hi, I'm looking forward to taking your teaching class. I'm a Reiki practitioner and wondered if I could combine the two. I think so. I've actually never trained in Reiki. I've only ever like just talked to people who do it. And I've definitely had a couple students who were Reiki practitioners who were just like super adamant that the Qigong made their Reiki like way more effective. So I imagine it's helps. I think Reiki works on more the level of like the Shen, which means it's what we call like the spirit or the mind in Qigong. And the Qigong energy healing, like when we use our hands to heal people, I think it works more on the level of Qi, just like the energy between body and mind. And you can correct me if I'm wrong because I just don't know a lot about Reiki, but I think that would be the main difference is the Qigong works more on the Qi and the Reiki works more on the Shen or the spirit level. But probably that is super cool if you combine it. Thank you. Ingra says, thank you so much. I'm also very curious, what is your attitude towards psychedelics now, especially ayahuasca and shamanic medicine? It's okay to ask, of course. Yeah, I try to always disclaim, like, psychedelics can take you somewhere really, really good and very healing, and also can take you somewhere really terrible that can traumatize you for a long time. And it's hard to know if you're the kind of person who will get one of those two experiences. So right now, for instance, like Johns Hopkins and other like professional centers are doing research to like test psychedelics on people as like a therapeutic. You guys, a lot of you probably already know about this, but they have like a really strong screening process. So they ask like, has anybody in your family ever had schizophrenia, things like that. And so they'll screen out people who they think are like those risk people. But the benefits of those are really strong. I think probably like most people are not in that risk category. So I think for most people it'd be good to use, but I think we need to move towards legalizing them so that we can get like more professional help available for people who do want to use them. Because right now it's mostly just like teenagers and like college students, like their drug dealer friend in their dorm like gives them something, and that's just like probably not the most like effective way to use those. So it's really all about like, is it the right person? Is it the right time in their life? Is it the right setting? Do they have the right people around them, or like being alone if they need to be alone? All those things like come together to like make the psychedelic experience either effective or not. Having the right dose, having like a clean substance. So it's just like anything, right? Hi, Bart from Belgium. Good to see you. It's been a while. And Anna, what are some tips for avoiding soreness after practicing in the mornings? For me in Australia, the live trainings will be at 7 a.m. Tips for avoiding soreness after practicing in the mornings. You get sore after doing Qigong? That's interesting. I would maybe just focus more on the stretching portions and the silk reeling, like joint opening stuff, rather than only doing like the postures and flows. Often those, you're supposed to find more relaxation as you do them, but often if you don't like stretch and warm your body enough first, then you're kind of stiff as you go through them, and you can create more tension. That's why it's really nice to focus more on like the Dao Yin and kind of yoga side of things beforehand. So that can help. Or just waking up a little bit before you want to practice and just like relaxing with a cup of tea or something for a bit and just letting your body wake up first can be good. Sorry about the noise in the background. Will you be issuing a certificate? I will be I will mail you a certificate if you like, or just email it to you and you can print it yourself. But yes, there will be an official, beautiful Nick Laffery Qigong certificate. Again, only official because of Nick Laffery's stamp on it. No like governing organization. Although we hope to get one or two. Matt Perry says, love all this, Nick. I'm signing. Oh, sweet. Matt trained with my teacher, Lee, so that's a high honor to hear. He will also be signing up for mine. Thanks, Matt. Natasha says, are you going to work with more acupressure points as well? Yes, we will have a segment on acupressure points and the meridians. It's not like a huge thing in my practice. I think it's like useful to know just to understand like why the different movements do what they do and things like that. I don't place a lot of emphasis on it, but we will be learning it. And I know some people really are drawn towards the acupressure side. So we'll definitely involve that, as well as learning where all the meridians are and how the different Qigong exercises kind of work with them, things like that. Okay. Let's see, a lot of people waving to me here on Instagram. Thanks for popping by. I don't really know if anybody can ask questions on Instagram. Oh, here's somebody says, I'm moving to YouTube now, but I hope you will answer the questions. Oops. Oh, okay, that was Inga. Sorry, it's harder to see the questions on the little phone than the computer. Okay, well, it looks like that's everything. Don't forget, you can get 20% off on the course by signing up before January 31st. Again, it starts on February 13th. So you have 7 days to get the 20% off discount. You got to use the code, though. I didn't know how to make a discount without a code, so you got to put the code. It's just TT20, letter T, like teacher training, 20 for 20% off. TT20. Renee says, how is your Qigong in your daily lives? Oh, yeah, we do. I do Qigong every day on Zoom, except for Sundays. I actually have, I'm starting to create an online Qigong studio. So I have another teacher who subs in for me on Sundays now. Just so I have one morning off. But yeah, feel free to email me if you're interested in the link for that. It's just nick@nicklawfree.com. Hopefully I'll have a assistant soon. He'll be handling those. Actually, you might even send it to her, Sarah@nicklawfree.com. And she'll hook you up with the Zoom link and info on that. It's every morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time again, California time. Just 9 to 10 a.m. And that's just like a casual Qigong class. Everybody on Zoom, we just hang out. It's really fun. Most people have their cameras on. You don't have to, but most people do. And it just kind of, we all chat and hang out. It's a lot of fun. We do Qigong meditation. It's a little different every day. Inga says, you are amazing. Thank you so much for your answers. I'm so happy to get to know you. I think to sign as well. Sweet. Yeah, I'm really happy with how many people have signed up so far. I was kind of worried, it was going to be 2 people or something. It'd be kind of awkward, but it's a pretty good amount so far. And be always fun to have more. So definitely excited to be doing this. Thank you all for your interest. Again, 20% off with TT20. That's good till January 31st. Anything else you guys need to know? Hopefully I put the link. I think the link's in the description below the YouTube video. Instagrammers, the link is in my link tree on my bio on my page. And you can learn all the more details about the course on the sales page. You just scroll down and there's just lots of information. Thanks, Beth. Thanks, Santosha. Thanks, Makiko. Thank you, everybody. It was really fun. Always fun hanging out with you guys. I'll try to do these AMAs once a month. They won't obviously always be about my teacher training, but it was just fun to hang out and see what questions you guys have and chat. Thanks so much. Have a beautiful day.